Everybody, we're starting the my Philly Aquarium Club meeting. This is our second meeting here at the church, and I'd like to thank everybody for coming and thank the church members for allowing us to have a meeting. Okay, basically we want to start talking about organizing the club, the benefits, the positive aspects of being involved in the fish club. And we want to share information amongst the guests and visitors tonight. Okay, what I want to really explain to everybody is how I got involved. Started off as a little kid, fish bowl, birthday come, they buy you a little present, you get a fish, you get a turtle. I lived out in the main line, so there was streams, ponds, and people's private ponds that we used to just go and catch their fish and hold them and keep them in the house or whatsoever. So I evolved from that. Later on, got the small aquarium back when they had the metal frames. But I'm kind of dating myself. But now let me really date myself. In the 60s when I was going to college, I started breeding angelfish. I was going to Temple. So I bred the angelfish, but at that time I was young, moving around. I didn't really stay involved. So I got out of it for a while. Then later on, maybe back in the 80s, mid-80s, I started getting back. I had the piranhas, I had the, not really African cichlids, just different cichlids at the time. But I really wasn't focusing on breeding, just having the fish and the whole aesthetic and the relaxing value of it. Then later on, I settled down, family, kids and stuff. So we got the tank, ended up with one tank, bought some angels. Back at that time, the only thing they had was silver and marble. Yeah. So, and more than likely, they probably were wild caught or F1s or something because, there wasn't really this big commercialization of raising fish. It was small fish breeders and plenty of local pet stores. So I did the angels for a while. I had a buddy that had a small pet shop up in Boston. Swap fish with him for supplies. Didn't know anything about them, put them in a little bag, don't leave no air, drive to the store, they all did. Various mishaps. So then I started, reading a little bit more. At that time, it wasn't internet, it was more or less buy a book, buy books, mail order. And one of the first mail order places I bought from was that fish place, that pet place up in Lancaster. This was in probably the 90s. I was involved with a group. Since I was a hobbyist, I had some friends that worked at a shelter, which was they had organic gardens and they had an aquaculture project where they raised tilapia. I kind of was involved with environmental stuff my whole life, being out in the woods, raising fish, but I got some skills raising fish. So they kept having mishaps in their greenhouse with this aquaculture system they had. So what the problem was, I'm not sure if you all are familiar with Dick Gregory, when he had that estate down in Cape Cod, he was involved with like a whole economic ecosystem lifestyle, fish farming, organic gardening. So there was this group down in Cape Cod called New Alchemy Institute. And I think the lady that started, her name was Ann Wigworth. If I'm not saying it right, you can find this on Google. And she had various illnesses and cancer whatsoever. And she started going out picking different weeds and finding out about the value and healing properties of these different herbs and weeds, and she ended up healing herself. And so somehow they evolved into this organization called New Alchemy Institute. They ended up moving from downtown Boston to the Back Bay. I used to walk past there all the time, didn't know what it was. I mean, New Alchemy, I thought it was like a pharmaceutical place or whatever it was, but it was an organization. And they moved to Cape Cod. So then they did all kinds of experimentation, innovations on fish farming, aquaculture, organic gardening, independent pest management, IPM, all kinds of ecological stuff using natural and more or less organic solutions to different problems. So I got involved with them through the mail. You know, they had a mail order, you send your catalog, order your books. I got books and stuff from them. But they ended up doing a project with ponds, you know, growing sunfish in ponds for food. And the only difference between food fish and tropicals or ornamentals is the size and scale of the grow out systems and that you're using chemical free because you want to eat this food. So I read you know, studied a little bit. I didn't have any space. I'm living in a little apartment, townhouse type thing, so I didn't have no space. But I had a little yard, maybe half this room I could do gardening. And I ended up, as I said, working with some friends that were at this shelter. And it was, how it was laid out, they had 2 3-story buildings, and each building had apartments. And there were 3 young ladies living in each apartment. It was called a revision house. And they could have maybe 2 children. So you had possibly 3 adults, maybe up to 6 children in each apartment. They had about 5 apartments. But they were giving the girls life skills through organic gardening and this aquaculture project. But they didn't really know anything about aquaculture. But they wrote grants, had an excellent grant writer, they got money, they got donations from other organizations, and they did this affiliation with the New England Aquarium, where they ended up giving the young ladies training, and they got jobs. But I'm going to throw this in here, and this is really funny. So I worked with them just in the greenhouse, but how I got in there, they wanted somebody to troubleshoot why their fish kept dying. Well, this system, and I would like to build another one, it's comprised of 3 55-gallon drums, okay? It used the airlift system, total airlift. You have 2 with a big air stone, lifting the water up the tube, out. That first cylinder, which held the fish, flowed into a biofilter. First they had lava rock in there. Now if you can imagine 55 gallons of that, and when it gets dirty, the sludge and waste that's in there. Okay. Then it went into a sediment tank, and then it was on a triangle when it flowed right back into the fish chain. Now what you would do is seed it with 30 fingerlings tilapia, and after this 5 to 6 month period, you'll be able to harvest 30 pounds of fish. And this was designed for as a passive solar collector. I don't know if you all know what that is. You know what that is, right? Mm-hmm. Okay. Passive solar collector is, you got a solar house, big windows. When the heat comes in, it heats the water, and then later on at night, the water radiates out heat. So by having this system, the average family of 4 people, you can have a fish dinner almost once a month around the year, because you're going to harvest the tilapia after about a 5-month period. So the problem was, they kept wondering why the fish were dying. So I first came into the place, I looked around, and they had a bag of food. Okay. Then I looked around, they said, well, what happens? All the fish keep dying. We come on, we leave for the weekend, we come back, the fish is dead. Excuse me.
I silenced my phone.
This is something I